All right, Johan.
I think we are live.
We are live, and welcome inside Playbookify followers. I'm doing a new test today with three cameras. So I'm looking here, here, and here. So let's see how that turns out.
So your gear acquisition syndrome isn't solved yet.
No, not yet. Actually, I'm going to buy more gear, but more more on that later. The the um, The thing I want to talk about today, Johan, is something that we haven't done so far. So we promised the insiders that we were going to talk about good and bad, but I was browsing through inside.playbookify.io and I mainly see the good news stories. But maybe only good news is happening.
Yeah, I think at least at the marketing side, it's going pretty good, and yeah, so far so good. I don't think we've experienced a lot of struggles in the first couple of weeks,
Yeah,
but yeah, now we are at the point that we do have some
the
struggles,
first
and yeah,
cracks are
maybe
starting to form. Yeah,
and maybe we can talk
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
So the biggest crack I'm experiencing at the moment is on the technology side, and um, we promised after going live that it would be a public beta, which it's not. So that's failure number one. We decided because we are a little bit afraid about how rich the current version is. We're both a little afraid to expose it to the public. So far we've only been giving limited, so it's more or less a closed beta, I would say at the moment. There are some users on it, but not as much as we were shooting for. So that's one. Second, Phil, is we were promised that after the first release, which is now 10 days ago, I think officially,
14 days already, I guess. Yeah.
we promised every 2 weeks a new release. We're not going to make that. And I would say, looking at let's maybe a semi-objective, analysis is never very objective, is it, if you do it yourself? Is first of all the team lead at Servoy was sick for a week with corona or COVID. I don't know, how do you call this nowadays? Is it corona, COVID, the disease?
I think you can say both.
It's the coronavirus causing COVID as a disease, I think.
Looking at the newspapers, you would think it's not even there, but yeah, that's another story. The whole COVID thing is gone.
Yet it seems like the media can only cover one big story one big event at the time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the second challenge, that the team lead was out, and it really delayed. Also because I should have personally picked up a lot of his project management skills, but I was very distracted with all the demos and setting up our CRM and thinking about the new version. So I think the third problem that we're both having is we're both wearing too many hats, trying to do and demos and configure CRM systems and think about next versions and test the software and demo it to hundreds of people.
Yeah, and starting a podcast, because I think most companies, when they decide to start a podcast, then it's a project of at least 8 weeks or even more, and a lot of people are involved in that process usually, and we are doing it in yeah, one day or even less, and yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that fast. So
And the podcast, I was thinking about it lightly, but I should have known this because I could have asked you, because you've done this for a couple of years. I thought, you record it and you dump it online and off you go. But all in all, even a 35-minute podcast, which is typically the length that we're shooting for, it takes a couple of hours to prepare it, to read about the guest, to read about what his company has been doing. Then the actual recording is pretty brief because we do that in about an hour. But then comes the post edit, and because we try to both post it to YouTube and to all the different podcast outlets out there, it has to be edited properly. So on the fly, I had to learn how to use Final Cut Pro, which I used to use in the old days before they completely changed how it works. So I saw a lot of complaints about this change. I think it's already 5 or 6 years ago. But they changed the way the timeline works. So it's a whole major adjustment that you have to go through. And actually, I had to follow a training to understand how it works.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of work, but let's get back to the problem because yeah, for this video we wanted to talk about the development issues. You already laid out some of the issues. What are we going to do to fix this issue?
I forgot excuse number 6 why we didn't deliver, and that's we were also in the process of hiring a development team. And the good news is we were able to hire 3 new developers, so that's great. The bad news is now I also have to bring them up to speed. So I created actually let me show that here in the background. Oh, this is not recording a screen. I'll put in the screens afterwards. I had to create a playbook to onboard the new developer, so that also ate a lot of my time away. Now, looking at solutions, potential solutions. Well, first of all, this team should be getting up to speed in the next 10 to 14 days, so that should help. I had a chat with Servoy, who is now a team at Servoy is doing our main development at the moment, and they were able to get a bit more resources for the next weeks to sort of play catch up. So hopefully that and the new team getting up to speed will bring us back into the rhythm of building and releasing every 2 weeks. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what do you think is realistic? And now, when it comes to the new version, what can people expect in the next few, or at least the first release from now?
Yeah. So what we're developing at the moment is 2 major updates to the current beta, and for those who haven't seen it, there is a recording somewhere where we can link to it in the comments. There's a recording where I show the first version. In the next major version, hopefully we can make the next release, so end of this month, in 2 weeks from now, to have at least support for 2 or 3 extra items in the forum. Are we going to call it forum editor in the checklist area?
The sidebar or something like that.
So
Yeah.
in the current one, you can only do checklists, check them or uncheck them. In the next version, we are going to add at least text fields, text area, and date picker, so that you can get richer data input entry from users of playbooks. And the second big thing that we want to release is the support of sharing templates. So that means that the sales demo playbook, which I demonstrated, was it yesterday? Yeah, it feels like last year. That you can take that as a starting point, and also share templates with other people. So you can create your own templates, and we can ship templates or share templates with you that you can use as a starting point. So the team is working hard on getting that into the system, and obviously a lot of obvious things that are still open or bugs. Some people had trouble with their registration email, so we're still digging into what could be causing that, and a few more obvious items that are open.
Yeah, I suggest selecting a date for the first new release. Now we are live, so that brings some commitment.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, then we are talking about, okay, plus 1 day is the last day of March. Sounds like
Yeah, last day of March. Yeah.
Sounds like a good date. So then, to recap, then we have the new version live, which will support the sidebar forms, at least the 3 you mentioned. And we will support templates,
Right.
and the bugs from the current version will be fixed.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. The good news is we're not wearing too many hats, so easy.
Let's do it. Okay, anything else to share right now?
Don't forget to watch the podcast that just went live with SendCloud. I think a great. It's a nice 35-minute podcast in which Johnny shares how they're growing their sales operation internationally. So that's quite a few lessons in that podcast. So watch it on YouTube or in the podcast.
So I'm currently trying to mix in some music,
I can hear that. Yeah.
like a real DJ.
Yeah. So that means
So,
it's the end.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, thanks for the update, Jan.
All right.
Cool.
And well, hopefully, if any of the insiders has tips and suggestions for us to get back on track, let us know.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
Thanks.